Dave Palumbo here with an RXMuscle news update. We have with us today our IFBB Texas Pro Men's Open second place finisher, Steve Kuclo. Got him here direct from the stage. And Steve, welcome back to the show. You know we love you here and show a lot of support for you. And I know it was a tough loss for you in Texas this past weekend.
It was. Well, thank you, Dave, for having me on. I always love being on your show and your reports, man. You're always on top of it. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's the smoke's clearing a little bit from the weekend, so kind of digesting what happened and evaluating the show results. So yes, you could say disappointment is there. Yes.
Let's go over, Steve, the strategy. I mean, you look great. I mean, you can see in the pictures here. I mean, you're tremendous. I thought this was probably your best look ever. I mean, you looked like you actually added some muscle from last year. Did you?
I did. Through this prep, my body was really fresh. Like, I really took the time to rest, let my body recover any little nagging injuries and, just let everything work, rest my receptors, everything. I'm a guy that likes to, that's why I've been doing this for 17 years. And how I've been able to do it for so long is just, I play in the long game. I try to be the smart one when it comes to, supplements, training, everything that's involved in what we have to do. So through this prep, I think I added, I started my prep at like 278 and I finished it at close to 290. So
wow.
Literally Thursday, I was 291 before the show.
Are you kidding me? You weighed that much? I mean, you look like you did, but that's incredible, Steve. You made some insane gains over the years. And you're right. You've done it very incrementally, gradually. You don't compete too much. You don't put your body under too much stress. And, it shows. I mean, you had a fresh look. I thought your body was real fresh here. And I thought there was, like I said, I think you guys peaked you perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think Gina and I have really kind of dialed in what it takes. Obviously having such a big physique and big frame, it takes a lot to fill out. Right. And if I can't get away with a flat look because it just makes me look soft and out of shape. So we need to have a real full look, and that'll give me a drier appearance. And so we have to really push the food. And we didn't go for insane fullness, but we went for full and dry. And we got a good formula that really kind of blends of both worlds,
Yeah, and Gina Davis is your coach you're talking about, who's a pro in her own right, and we know Gina real well. And it's interesting. There's not many men out there that actually have women coaches. How did you and Gina kind of get together in terms of saying, hey, she really works well with my personality and she knows my physique?
Well, she's in Oklahoma, which is a couple-hour drive from where I'm at, which is nice. But I saw her take a few local guys that didn't have great genetics, that weren't great bodybuilders, and she made them look really good. And that was impressive to me. When you can take a piece of coal, turn it into a diamond, I'm impressed, not taking somebody like, Flex Lewis or and just saying, my mom could prep Flex Lewis or Phil Heath to get in the show. But I think, she did a really good job of that. I sat with her. We kind of talked about strategy and how she likes to do things. And it really aligned to what I knew and what I liked and what I figured kind of worked for me. And she put me through a training session, damn near killed me. And I said, that's the person I need in my corner. And she cares. She spends a ton of time. She's very attentive to details. And she's by far the best coach I've had.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you have to find, I always tell people there's coaches should never feel like, hey, I have to have every athlete, because there's so many people out there that you'll always, if you're a good coach, you're going to have a ton of people. I always have a full stable of people that I work with because, my personality meshes with the right people, and that's the people I work with. And that's exactly what happened with you. Now let's go to the show. You picked the Texas Pro. It's in your own backyard, obviously. You don't have to drive anywhere. That's going to make you your best at the end of the day. And you kind of put all your cards into one basket in a sense. You had to win this show to qualify for the Olympia. Talk to me about what was the rationale behind picking the show.
Well, I knew it was getting late in season, and like we've discussed, and like we know, there was limited shows this year. There was a lot. Yeah. There wasn't quite the schedule with a normal year, and a lot of them were pushed to later to come up to the deadline of what the Olympia cutoff is. So I knew there was Chicago, I knew there was Tampa, and the Texas show, and I figured, if any show, I feel I can go to a regional. I have enough confidence in myself. I can go to a regional show, and I could win that show. Sure. Bar somebody like Bonac or Big Ramy or Curry coming in, we're gonna be like, man, it's gonna be a battle. I feel like I got enough confidence, like I said, where I can go to a show and win it. So. And I said, if I bring it like I need to, and I feel like I could go to this Texas show, win it. And I trained for it like it was a Mr. Olympia show. I didn't kind of go half-ass and say, if I come in 80% or 90%, I can win it. I was like, no, I want to freaking nail it. I want to bring a package that is undeniable. And I felt like I brought a very solid package to this. And the Texas show was, like you said, it was in my backyard. I haven't been able to compete in front of a lot of my friends and family in many, many years, just because they haven't had a Texas Pro show, and it's hard for a lot of people to travel, with families and stuff. So
you had 1 million people there too.
I did. I mean, that was just prejudging. I had probably 40 or 50 more show up at finals, and
that's nuts.
Which was great. I mean, just that energy that gives you is incredible. So all those things played factors into reasoning why I really wanted to put all my eggs in that basket. And I feel like it was. I still believe it was the right choice. And I wanted to do the Arnold and then Olympia, which I'm going to do the Arnold. So that's still the plan.
Yeah, and obviously, as far as qualifiers go, this was the last weekend of qualifying in terms of like the Olympia. But then they made the Arnold. I guess they made an extension for that, and they said, okay, you know what? The winner of the Arnold will qualify for this year's Olympia. Now, I have a couple of issues. First of all, let before we talk about the qualification, let's talk about the show. So you're ready to do the Texas show. Pretty much, it was Steve Kuclo's show. Everyone's talking about it. And then Iain Valliere decides, you know what, I'm going to jump in this show too, because you know what, there's money up for grabs, and I'm in the U.S. anyway. I had to come in from Canada. I'm going to put it up there, which I think was a good move on his part. I mean, I can understand him doing that. Obviously, now you got a guy who can match up to your size and structure wise.
Sure.
Obviously, the strategy doesn't change. The strategy is bring your best. But obviously, did you feel like, now I might have an issue in terms of qualification goes? Because now it's only really the winner. You didn't do a lot of shows this year. This was your only show. Obviously, you weren't going to be able to qualify in points. You had to win the show, essentially.
Right. It put a little bit more pressure factor in there, absolutely. And if anything, that kind of drives me to say, hey, we have to win this. It's not like I could do one more next weekend. I start seeing I figured a lot of the guys would just continue on the shows, which some were continuations from Chicago, the guys that did Chicago, guys that did Tampa. Yeah. So I knew it was going to be kind of the guys that wanted to just keep on trying to qualify. But Iain jumping in, it didn't change the game plan at all. And if anything, I knew I'd rather go against somebody like Iain and Phil and Hassan and these guys that are good bodybuilders, and then beat them and prove to everybody that, hey, I am a real contender.
Right. Yeah. And obviously I know you're not a kind of guy that's going to like shy away from competition, but
sure.
What happens now is obviously Iain steps in, prejudging goes on. Everyone pretty much, everyone I talked to, at least, I mean, I wasn't at the show, but I looked at all the pictures and the videos. Pretty much people had you winning prejudging. I mean, I did a wrap up after, and I was like, I think Kuclo's got him. You were a little tighter than Iain at prejudging. Structurally, you guys match up really well. You both have big structures, and I actually think that your back double kind of won it for you in that sense, because you got a better back double than everyone in the lineup pretty much there. Did you feel confident coming off the stage after prejudging?
I did. The Tyler worked us real hard, and it was probably one of the hardest I worked on stage, which was great, because I love to work it. I mean, they get the adrenaline, especially when you got all the people there cheering you on. It was incredible. And I think there was at one point during prejudging when we were doing, so we had the initial call out, put me in the middle, felt great, did some moving around, and then they pulled us off, and I knew they were going to call us back out. They called us back out for the final call out. It was 3. It was Phil, Iain, and myself. And then we ended up, put us 3, had me in the middle, ran through all our poses, and then they switched it around. I think they put Iain at that point in the middle. And
yeah, they were playing games to like make it
interesting for the fans.
Yeah.
Ran through all the poses again, and then Tyler looked at us. He goes, "Let's do it one more time, guys." And then I know at that point it was, that adrenaline's going. You got like, all right, I gotta slow down my heart rate a little bit because I'm amped up right now. And when I'm on stage, I mean, I want to. It's like it's a battle, it's a fight, and I'm not just kind of like, oh, this is great and happy. I'm like, fuck, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
So we, they moved it around, and obviously for people that are watching online and people that are seeing pictures, they're like, oh, is Phil gonna win? Is Iain gonna win? Is Steve gonna win? So it definitely adds the entertainment value to it. But walking away from prejudging, I felt like it was my show.
Yeah. And I like the fact that Tyler actually is mixing it up and letting you guys all match up, because when you're in the middle, there's a different energy and there's a different look. So give everyone a chance in that middle. Now make your assessment who's the best. I looked at all those pictures. I really thought you had it after prejudging, and I'm a big Iain Valliere fan because I think he's got a tremendous physique as well. But I thought he wasn't quite as sharp. So it comes back. So night show comes. You guys come back at night. Iain comes back a little drier. Okay. I thought you guys still matched up really well. I said, you know what? Steve won prejudging. I think they're tied at night. I think Steve's going to win this show. I can't see him losing it.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, obviously, it comes back that Iain wins. And when I looked at the scorecards, I was a little confused because I was surprised that they had Iain by 1 point winning prejudging. And I really think that's kind of what pushed him over the edge, even if it didn't mathematically push him over the edge. I think psychologically with the judges, that pushed him over the edge because they did have him winning prejudging. Sure. That I was having trouble, coming to grips with, I think.
Yeah, it was. Now seeing the scorecard and how it was scored, I mean, obviously it was very close. Tyler even announced during the prejudging and finals, like, "Hey, this is really close.
Right.
We're live judging the finals just because and we ran through another 4 rounds of comparisons for that, and I mean, he made us work, and that was phenomenal. I loved it, and that's kind of walking away from it. I like the now kind of thinking about it, because Sunday or right after the show, it's kind of a blur. Yesterday was a little bit of a blur because I'm still kind of amped up from the weekend, and this morning I was just kind of thinking about it, and like you said, it stung. It was disappointing. I felt like I felt confident enough in what I brought to get a W. So I mean, my hat's off to Iain because he won. He looked great. There was points during posing with that I felt like he was fading a little bit, just from I think struggling a little bit getting some poses, because I was ready to hit in the pose, and I'm looking over and I'm like, he ain't even in the pose yet. Come on, and then Tyler's calling the next pose. So
right.
That was one of my only things, but
right.
It was a very hard fought show. I mean, I had some friends that never been to a show before, and they all were like, man, that was the energy and everything you guys did was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I loved watching the pictures, and I saw all the videos, and I almost wish I was there. That I could feel the energy was definitely palpable. And I know I've been at shows where your family's there. I've sat next to your mom when you turned pro. I mean, there's a lot of energy in that place because your family goes crazy, when you're there.
The family was on fire for sure.
And so I understand that. Now, my thing is, I believe, and I don't want to misquote but I believe the Europa show that they held the day after in Spain gave 2 qualification spots. And I believe they did that because there wasn't that many shows in Europe this year. But seeing that and seeing how close you guys were, and knowing that you're legitimately a top 6 Olympia guy now, I'm surprised that since Iain qualified, they didn't extend another qualification spot to you, because it only seemed like fair given the fact that, they're going to give 2 in Europe. So I don't know. I think the whole qualification series is a little screwed up because of COVID. There wasn't enough shows to do. Guys had to, pick and choose what they were going to do. And I knew we predicted this. I've been talking about this on Heavy Muscle Radio for weeks. I said, someone's going to get excluded, or guys that belong on the Olympia stage are not going to get to go because there's just not enough shows. You're going to get these guys that have the ability to peak 400 times a year. They're going to do 20 shows, and they're going to qualify. And that's exactly what we see from Muhammad El Imam and I forget who else. Blank in my mind a minute. Those guys qualified because they did so many shows that they accumulated points.
Yeah.
Now you're going into the Arnold. You have to win the show to qualify. Why not open the Arnold to top 3? I mean, I think that the top 3 in that lineup would deserve to go to the Olympia this year.
Absolutely. I mean, the Arnold's always been the Olympia minus 1 or 2 guys, and it's look at the lineup in the Arnold right now. It is the Mr. Olympia minus Big Ramy and Curry, and I think you look at the lineup, and if you take top 3, those top 3 guys are going to be in the top 5 of Mr. Olympia as well. So
absolutely, they will.
I think that would be something awesome if they could do that. Absolutely, I would encourage that. I would be behind that, and I think that needs to happen.
I think that would solve the problem because let's face it, you and Iain were essentially tied. I mean, I had you in a tie at night show. If they did give Iain the prejudging, then he deserved to win. But you know what? The truth is, you both deserve to go to the Olympia. And so rather than do a special invite, because we know that whole thing, because then if you get one, he should get one. Make it a qualification. You have one more big show. You got the Arnold. Make it top 3. Send those guys to the Olympia. I don't think anyone would complain if it was a qualification inspired, invite, so to speak.
Absolutely. Or like if a guy's qualified, just let's go down to the next one if he beats him. And in the case like Iain was qualified, and if they could pass the qualification down, they do that a lot of times on national level shows.
With pro cards.
If the guys cross over, and they'll just go down to the next one to give them the pro card kind of thing. Yeah. So
I want to be on that Olympia stage for sure.
I want to be there. You know that.
And the fact that you're still going, I mean, it's a weird year. They have to make accommodations for weird years. I mean, this is not typical. I'm a rule guy. I like rules. I live my whole life around rules, maybe too much so, but when you have things that go wrong and the season gets shortened and it doesn't start till April, you gotta kind of make accommodations for that. It should still be qualification inspired, but I think that you got to give guys the ability to qualify, more so than they might have in normal years, so to speak.
Absolutely.
I don't even understand why the Arnold would be a qualify for next year anyway. Are they afraid that if they're going to have to buy an extra plane ticket at a month out and they're not going to have any? I mean, what's the problem?
They probably going to have 30 or 40, classic physique, men's physique, bikini competitors. So why not have 25 big boys up there?
Right.
People.
Right. But the point is, I remember in the 90s, if you qualified the week before, you were at the Arnold. I mean, you were at the Olympia the next week,
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I thought originally they made the rule at a month out because they wanted to book flights for people and stuff like that.
I think that, I get that.
But this is a different story. This is the Mr. Olympia. It's not the Bikini Olympia, or not to take anything away from that, or the Wellness Olympia. This is Mr. Olympia. You want your best men in the world on stage on that day, and you certainly belong on that stage. There's no doubt.
And I'm confident in saying, not in an ego way, but I know I bring a lot of fans to shows. I know that, I have a good fan following, and not only do I bring 25 family members to every show, but I think, the fan side of it, there's a lot of fans that want to see me there. A lot of fans that are, would come just because, hey, I'm a huge fan of Steve and I want to see him compete, and it's going to be at the Mr. Olympia. So there's a lot of value there. Absolutely.
Well, I know Steve, I know you, and I know Gina, and I know that what we're going to see at the Arnold Classic is going to be knock your socks off Kuclo on stage, because obviously now there's assuming they don't change anything, you got to win this show, if you want to go to the Olympia. So this is your Olympia, Steve. You better bring it, man.
It is. And another, about 5 weeks until the Arnold.
Yeah.
That amount of time to kind of make some little refinements and sharpen up. Arnold's going to be a nasty package. I mean, it's going to be something that I want to bring an undeniable package that could absolutely win it. I'm not going there to place top 3. I'm really going there to win. And I think, I want to stand next to William. I've made the improvements I need to make to come out with a W.
Well, great job this past weekend. You looked
Thank
awesome.
you.
I think that you guys, I always tell people, if you look your best on stage, no matter what the judges award you or don't award you, or if there's someone better there than you, as long as you look your best, you did your job and you made your improvements and you brought the conditioning you need to bring. So there's nothing left to do. You know, that's it. Next show,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of people, when they see photos of me, say online or stuff that I post, they're like, he looks good. He's a big guy. And then when they see me on stage next to people, they realize how big or how, my structure and
in person,
and I had people before the show, talking about a few of the guys that were competing that they're freaking huge, and you guys, are you worried about it? And then I was like, just wait till I stand next to them, And then I did. They're like, man, you kind of made those guys look small. So,
I remember when you did. I think you won your class, or maybe even came in second at Team Nationals. What was that?
04 and 05, yeah.
Oh my God, were you second in the team?
No,
nationals?
I won the Team Nationals.
You won the class, but you didn't win the overall, right?
I won the heavyweights both years. 4
right.
05.
And what did you weigh back then?
210 and first one was like 208 and the next one was like 212 or something like that.
Wow. And so you're like almost like 80 pounds more of muscle now. That's insane when you think about it, right?
It's insane when I think about it. Yeah, but like we said, we played the marathon game instead of the sprint, and that's how I've been able to. Most guys have done the Team Nationals, they're not around anymore.
Now they burnt out. Yeah. So you're one of the the guys that actually made it. Nick Walker, obviously another guy who's been around. Hopefully we'll see what his staying power is, but he's another guy who kind of has a physique reminiscent of yours. But
sure.
Steve, congratulations to you and Gina. We'll see you at the Arnold Classic, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, and hopefully we can get some traction on getting some more qualifications before
Absolutely. We'll put it out there to the universe, and hopefully it will come back, and there'll be some new rule changes. But let's see.
Go, Dave.
For now, though, we're out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo here with Steve Kuclo for another RXMuscle news update.